right. I'm not going to edit any of that out, I don't think.
Yeah,
Let's just go with it.
Yeah. No one knows.
So we are here shooting videos on controversial relationship questions that have been submitted on my website. And I really appreciate all of these questions. They're great questions. Sorry for the noise. We're shooting in Nicaragua and it's very noisy. So we are going to jump into more questions. We have 2 left. I kind of put them all together, all the controversial ones in one group. We have 2 left. So, do you want 1 or 4?
I will take number 4 for 300.
Okay, you got it. Okay, so this question says, I just got into a long distance relationship after saying that I would never do distance again. I'm hopeful because I really want this to work, but terrified at the same time. Do you think long distance can work? And do you have any tips for actually making it work?
Okay. Long distance relationships can work.
But they suck.
Yeah. They're a challenge.
Just kidding. That's... They're really hard. That's why I'm laughing, because
Yeah, they're not easy to maintain.
no, and we've both had long distance relationships
Yeah.
go poorly.
Yeah.
And I've worked with a lot of people who have had them go poorly. That's why I laughed when she said, I would never do distance again, because I've said that before and gone back on it before. So it's such a hard question. Sorry, continue.
Yeah. No, it's fine. So it is possible, and I think it's good that you're in a position where you're asking the question, because it's sounding like you're willing to do the things that you need to do to make it work. The other part of that is that you need to have your partner on that same plane, like in that place of willingness to make a compromise or to sacrifice to make it work. I think one of the main things, and I think we're definitely more fortunate in our generation because we have the internet and we have these means of contact that are pretty intimate, like a Skype call, and you can see the person all the time. And I think if it is going to work, like of course it would come with conversation, because personalities are different. Some people may not want to be bombarded with their partner all the time. Some people may want more space, may not want to talk every day or whatever. I think all of that would come from having the conversation of what we need to do to stay connected, so that we feel like we do have support, like we are working towards something until we're together again. Challenges like how long you're apart is also another big factor. Like, do you know when you're going to see each other every year? Do you know how long that is going to be for? Do you know? Yeah, like there are countless challenges that come with a long distance relationship. But like I think maybe all the videos we talk about, like communication is the foundation. Like, you need to be very open, or as open and straightforward as possible about your needs and your wants, so that they are met, because not being in the same space with the person, it's much easier for you to now seek for or getting that nourishment, getting those needs and wants met without them in the space to provide it, or to stop you, or to, just kind of keep you in check somewhat, So it is definitely possible, but it is a challenge, and it takes a lot of communication and sacrifice and understanding, but it is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like everything you said.
Yeah.
You covered a lot of the major points.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, you have to know yourself, and you have to know what you need and how you need it. Yeah. And I don't think a lot of us know that until we get in a position where we're not getting it or it doesn't work. Yeah. I think I learned that from being in a long distance relationship. I found that if I wasn't seeing him often, on like Skype or FaceTime or whatever, or I wasn't seeing him and having conversations with him. Is there another bug?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Oh. Sorry. Entertainment for the camera. Okay, bug, get away.
Is it gone?
Yeah. The bug is gone, guys.
So, this is real life. What was I saying?
You're talking about you weren't seeing your partner.
Yeah.
And,
So if I wasn't seeing him,
yeah.
I would disconnect really quickly.
Yeah.
So if I wasn't consistently seeing his face, and it wasn't the same if we talked on the phone, and it wasn't the same if we were texting, I had to see his face or else I disconnected. And I would disconnect. That means I wasn't giving as much emotionally. That means I was more likely to want to talk to other people. That means I was just not as much in it. And I found that would happen. The problem was that person didn't really want to FaceTime all the time and didn't have that same need that I did and didn't really want to meet that like I wanted it to be met. So we had a little bit of clash in like what we needed and what our expectations were, and that made it really tough. But what I learned from that going into other relationships is I lay down my needs pretty clearly, pretty early. Yeah. And that's something that I've really taken from that, because then someone can be like, okay, well, I can't offer that, or that's going to be really hard for me given my work schedule, or, you know, that's really simplified in the way I'm saying that. But I know what I need, and I won't go into, let's say this, like I wouldn't go into a distance relationship with someone who wasn't going to be able to consistently FaceTime me, because I'm just going to end up going off or breaking up with you or doing something else, because I can't stay attached to somebody unless I'm seeing their face consistently. So I wouldn't go into that unless that was being met. But I know that about myself now. So I think both people going into this need to spend some time and say, okay, what do I need? What do I need from that person to feel really connected and attached to them? For some people, they really like the good morning or good night text, or just like a text to let them know that you're there, or you know, they like a picture, like you can create your space so you have reminders of them, like they like a picture of you, or you know, the classic teddy bear, or, you know, you can create those things, but you both have to be willing to try to meet the other person's needs and spend some time understanding your own. And like you said, the sacrifice piece, you have to know that it's going to be hard. I mean, all relationships are hard, but this adds another level of it. So you have to accept that it's going to be tough, and you still commit to working through that even when it is tough. I think is big as well. I also really liked what you said about knowing when you were going to see that person, because that was another thing that I struggled with in that relationship, was we often didn't know exactly when we were going to see each other, and that was so much harder for me. So if I knew I had a date like next month or in a couple weeks, I was more settled in that, because I'm like, okay, cool, like now I have space to do my own thing. I can do whatever I need to do and really focus on me, because I know I'm going to see this person and I can relax in that because I'm seeing them at that point. But if I didn't have that date, it was so much harder for me to just like be super committed to someone and not know when I was going to see them again, because it was just like that was just a lot harder. It caused a lot more anxiety and all of that. So I think that for me that was important. Some people it's okay with, or some people don't have a choice. Like if someone's in active service and you know leaves, they don't know when they're coming back exactly, or they can't have as much contact. So sometimes you're forced into that situation. But I think if you can, for a lot of people, it's helpful to know when you're going to see them, because it's easier to hold on and be like, okay, this is hard, but we're seeing each other at this date, we can do this. You know, it's easier to hold on when you have a specific date.
I think we're on the same page. I think that you be aware of like operating in fear of it not working out, because that could affect a lot of things. That could affect how you perceive communication. That could affect how your sense of time in the relationship and the space that is there every day, and what that means. I think operating in the fear of, wow, this didn't work before, you're almost setting up yourself for it not to work, because you could find yourself self-sabotaging. Like beyond
That's a
long,
good point.
beyond long distance relationships, that's just life. You know, like if you operating in the fear that I've seen this not work and I've failed at this before, then you have to be even more conscious of how you perceive things and like the decisions you make and so on. But
No, that's a good point, because if we're acting out of fear or anxiety, then we're gonna be more needy or more controlling or more like, you're gonna like press that on this relationship that maybe it's not happening with. And I think that's a good point to bring up with this specific question too, because it sounds like you haven't had this work in the past. So you're gonna bring some of that anxiety and that fear and that pain over. And if you do that too much, then it could sabotage the current relationship. So as much as you can let that go and be really present and be like, okay, this is what's happening here, this is what we're working on, this is this person, this is this relationship, this is what I'm giving. As much as you can be clear on that, the better and more likely it's gonna work out better. And in that, I would also suggest self-care, which I plug all the time, and mindfulness, because if you can find ways to be a little bit more grounded and find ways to be more calm, then you're not going to carry that anxiety into this relationship. And this is an anxious situation, so you're going to need more grounding and more mindful practices to stay a little bit more secure and grounded. So maybe try meditating if you haven't, try yoga, try some sort of mindfulness practice, even like something else. It's not like pure mindfulness, but like dancing or karate or something that you can find some sort of release or space where you can feel a little more connected and grounded. I think that kind of stuff can help, and you can use this space. That's the cool thing about a long distance relationship, I think, that is a pro to a long distance relationship, is you have the security of someone being there, but they're not there all the time, so you can work on all of your stuff. So I'm a really independent person, so that's something that I think is really cool, because I can know that you're there and you're there for me, and I can relax into that. And now I have all this time to like try all these classes that I've been wanting to take, or work on all this stuff, or reconnect with friends or family, or put out a new work project. So I have the security of a relationship, so I'm not spending energy seeking it, but I can put that into all of these other cool things that I want to do. So I think that's a pro to distance. And I think when you do see the person, it's exciting. And you're really excited to see them, and that is something that's positive and it's fun, and it's exciting to see them again. So I think those are pros to distance, and maybe trying to focus on those more too. Like, I have more space to develop this thing in myself, and we are going to meet up at this new place, and that's exciting. And so there are pros to that too.
I agree.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
No, I think we covered most of it, and I would like to hear people's perspective too. So when they respond, I will check.
Yeah. So do you think long distance relationships can work? What are some pros and cons to long distance relationships? Have you had ones that have worked or not worked, and all of that? Let us know what you think and what your experience has been. That would be great. All right. Thanks, guys.